Good morning and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, a podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier with your host, the Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today we have a Wrecking Crew roundtable, and it's going to be the topic of the David Steiner testimony in front of Congress, the one that recently occurred. The way it's going to work out is that we're just going to play clips, and each participant will have the ability to comment on the subject. So without further ado, we're just going to start down the line. But first, let's start with the clip. Let's see. Hopefully this works out. So listen closely. If you need me to repeat it, I will, but we'll see how it goes. Just listen closely to, I'm sure you guys will think this is familiar.
This is President Jonathan Smith from the American Postal Workers Union. And today's video is to set the record straight. Postmaster General Steiner testified on Capitol Hill this past Wednesday.
There's only one way you can become profitable here, and that's address the labor costs. And so we would have to go in and look at how we can change days of service, reduce the level of services, and we would have to shut down a massive number of post offices.
He's there to support an agenda of privatization, outsourcing, and killing service to the American people. It would be a dereliction of duty if I did not set the record straight. One, stop referring to the Postal Service as a business. It is not a business, it is a service. It was designed, legislated to be a not-for-profit service. They understood when they designed the Postal Service that we would have to deliver to places that were not profitable because it's a service. Let's talk about two. They keep talking about outsourcing the work. What does outsourcing do? It gets rid of good union jobs. It gives it to a private contractor. It makes it more expensive, and it makes the service worse. Three, and probably the most important, the solution. Raise the debt ceiling from $15 billion to between $35 and $40 billion to keep up with the rate of inflation from 91 to 2026. Number two, to be able to invest in more than just treasury bonds. Because we are a service and not a business, we're not allowed to based on legislation. If we were able to make more aggressive investments right now, we would have over $700 billion in the black. Last but not least, man, let's talk about the civil service retirement. The civil service retirement calculation is wrong, even by the admission of the PRC. They say if it was calculated correctly, the government will owe the Postal Service between $50 and $80 billion. This is the truth. Thank you for letting me set the record straight.
All right, so that was the APWU president, Jonathan Smith. Hopefully you guys were able to soak all that in. I know it was a long one, but man, you guys are hearing my text messages come in. I'm sorry. We're going to start with, I guess it's Michael Still. I'm going to unmute you, hopefully. Did that work? Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say about that?
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, thank you, APWU, for saying the truth, right? It's a manufactured crisis. If we reinvest our pensions in outside of treasury bonds, that covers everything, right? I don't know if you heard that when Steiner, when the PRC, what does that stand for? The Postal Regulatory Council came out and said, actually, we're fine now. We're not in a debt crisis anymore. We're good for several more years. Steiner, his response was, we got to get rid of the PRC. So they want there to be a crisis. They want there to be not money. They want to be able to cut stuff and slice it up and sell it off. And I really wish our president was out there, our NALC president out there putting out videos like this. We need to stand up to these guys. And hats off to APWU. I'm jealous.
Do you yield your time?
I yield my time.
All right. Let's see. Next is Jamie Gregory. Would you like to say anything about it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that sometimes leaders can forget is the simple act of speech making, trying to inspire people, get people moving. I think Sean Fain over at the was it the Auto Workers, I think is something he's really taken up is, getting out there, talking to everybody, and trying to motivate people. And it's not to say that it's not important, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, but getting out ahead of things, getting out in public. I'm sure we heard that a lot about the importance of, our union leadership getting out there and putting out our version of events and how this actually affects us and the American people. Um, you know, so I mean, I think it's motivating to see that some people are really taking that to heart and getting out there. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's good to see, especially coming from another craft. So yeah, I'll go ahead and yield my time.
All right. Let's see. Daniel, you're up next.
Okay. You can hear me?
Yep.
Sweet. So that video was a short clip of a Q&A with a bunch of APWU employees, and they asked a bunch of questions and stuff. And I remember watching it on Facebook, and I agree obviously with everything he says, but my issue with APWU is, like, we don't communicate with our people at all. Like, how are we supposed to be, together if, like, the unions don't even talk to each other? I mean, I'm going to be a little bit off topic, but I think me and Josh have talked about how supervisors do clerk work more than clerks. There are no clerks. Like, I think Josh played a clip earlier that, or I might have heard it on Corey's podcast or something, that, or someone else's podcast, that, oh no, it was the Pennsylvania guy, whatever his name is. So they were talking about routes that didn't go out because they didn't have clerks. And, supervisors are always violating, but we can't do anything because we're in another craft, and crafts, it's like, you can't touch. So, like, I agree with everything he says, but, like, we all want to hold management's feet to the fire, but, like, I see supervisors and management I'm in a predominantly rural station. I see violations all over the place in the clerk craft and in the rural craft, and we can't do anything about it. So management knows, well, don't mess with the city carriers because they'll hang us out to dry, but we can fuck with the clerks and the rural carriers all we want because they're not going to do shit. And I think that's a little bit of a problem. But I just wish there was more communication between the unions, because it feels so separate. Because, like, I think a while ago, I wanted to tell APWU that our supervisors were doing clerk work, and I couldn't find the number. Like, I had to do like a deep dive into where they had their meetings or whatever, and it was just it was a big hassle, and it's just, I don't like that. I feel like there's some room for improvement as far as the crafts communicating. I mean, there's no rule against communicating. Maybe we're different crafts, but we're still in the post office. Oh, by the way, happy National Postal Workers Day to everybody. Okay, I'm done.
That was a close one. All right. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Next is you, Andrew.
Right. All right, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, perfect. So obviously, pretty much like everyone else, yes, I do like the message that's getting across to everyone. One thing I would like to change is you have to understand from what the American people are hearing. Like, when you hear those percentages about how low union jobs are, I want to make sure that the American people, they might not relate like they used to. You might hear of the older generation do it, but the newer generation, unless you're in that labor movement, you might not understand how important it is. I want to see those statistics in front of Congress. When I see commercials, which I do think we should be doing more of, I want to see reaching out and showing them what we've done. We still, I know it's been, a couple years, since a lot of people, they don't even talk about COVID anymore, but we did earn a lot of goodwill with that. We needed, to focus on when we help people. We need to really, if we're going to pull, the heartstrings, we need to show them why, show them what will happen if we're not here. And then we made those second round of commercials for Congress. That's when we need to say, hey, listen, this is the real stats here. This is what happens. And Congress isn't stupid. Yes, they're going to come around and say, hey, what do my constituents want? So you have to go and reach out to them. We know why, like Josh Hawley, who isn't, the biggest fan of labor in general, but he's all about us because he has constituents as all part of rural America. That's what we have to do, that we have to play smart about this. And then I did want to piggyback, I took notes here, off of one thing that Michael Steele talked about. I don't think that Steiner wants to just automatically just start slicing up the post office. What I do think he's trying to force Congress's hand. We've been this redheaded stepchild of federal government ever since the Postal Reorganization Act, which should be good or bad. On the one hand, we don't have to worry about if there's government shutdowns, but on the other end, we're not really service. Like, even though we're supposed to be a service, Congress seems to forget that whenever they want to put up whoever the PMG is and start laying the smackdown on them. But why are we giving you this money? No, one thing Steiner did say is he should have is, hey, we have this mandate. We need to focus on that. We don't need to, we need to make this essential again. That's what it comes down to about being a professional letter carrier. We need to really hammer that home about why we're professional, why you don't want you don't want this contracted out. Bring up Amazon. Hey, we bring them into the fold, bring them into there. But until then, we need to show them, like, hey, have your letter carrier dressed up. Ooh. And then turn around and show what the difference is.
Absolutely. Sorry.
And I don't know, that wasn't Michael Jordan. So I was like, okay, I think I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an accident.
But that's what I really think.
Stop it.
I do like that.
Get some help.
So, nope, that's what I had off of that.
All right. Let's see. Just to let everyone know, we got another member here, and I'm such a terrible host because I didn't ask anyone to introduce yourself. So first, we're going to go through Amy's opinion on the last clip shared. And better late than never, I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves.
I mostly agree with the last two gentlemen. I do think that the communication is a big key. I know where I'm at. We went 3 Saturdays in a row without mail, not coming from the plants. And that looks bad on the carriers, always. People don't look any further upstream. They're just automatically mad at their carrier. So we need to get better with communicating. Apparently, I'm always told by the postmasters, well, we can't get a hold of any of the plant. Nobody's responsible for who's at the plant. They get USPS checks. Somebody is. That's a big thing. The public does love us, but that will get us a little bit of credibility back if we can actually deliver their mail. And I can't remember what my other point was, so I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. All right. So I might as well just leave you on because I'm going to start with you in terms of introducing yourselves, and I'm just going to unmute you guys one at a time. And go ahead and let us know who you are and where you're from.
Amy Tyvand, branch 323, Logansport, Indiana.
All right. Andrew is here as a special guest, but Andrew, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Andrew Harrison. I'm a carrier out of Niagara Falls, New York. I am part of Branch 3, which is Buffalo, Western New York.
Awesome. Let's see. your turn. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oops, I messed up. There you go.
I'm Daniel Pitts. I work out of Snellville, Georgia. I'm in branch 73, which is Atlanta, pretty much.
All right. There you go. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jamie Gregory. I'm a steward out of Branch 2819 in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Yeah.
All right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
You're talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I'm having a chat box problem. I'm Joni Weber with Branch 4430 in Palmdale, California.
All right. Good to have you guys on so far. And last but not least, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Michael Still out of Branch 274, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, where I have the pleasure of serving as shop steward.
All right. Well, it's good to have all you guys on. Sorry I haven't been a good host. I didn't have you guys introduce yourself, but hey, we got a late arrival, so I guess that worked out because we would have had to have another one anyway. So next, I'm going to play the next clip. Let's see. All right, so Joni, just to let you know, we're going to play a clip, and then we're going to unmute one at a time if we have any commentary on the clip. Let's see. Okay, here it goes. So listen closely.
I want to show you a picture, if I could, just to start. This is North St. Louis, Missouri. This is April 29th of this year. This is right around North Taylor Avenue. This is a pile of mail. Thousands of pieces of mail. Tax documents, prescription drugs, bills, utility communications from companies, thousands and thousands of documents. As you might imagine, the residents of St. Louis, when this was discovered on April 29th, were absolutely outraged, not least because the mail has been slow and not delivered and missing targets for years now. And here we have thousands of pieces of mail. Some of the postmarks here, this wasn't going across the country. You have letters here that were just going across town that had been dumped in this pile. Now, the Postal Service promised the public and me, when this was discovered, that there'd be a full accounting of this. We would find out what happened, and we'd have a full and total investigation and complete transparency. And since that time, I've heard nothing. I want to show you.
Okay. So first, we're going to start with you. You just touched on this subject, so what a lucky pick.
Yeah, he was great. Howley.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of his now. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that mess. It's embarrassing.
Absolutely. It didn't even look like it was from a carrier either, in my opinion.
No, and that was way more than a day's worth. That was a lot. Yeah. I'm interested to find out when he finds out. Apparently,
all right.
he's going forth with it, so I'm interested to see what that's all about.
Yeah, me too. So do you yield your time?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Next is you.
All right. I just had two quick points on this. First is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's where they were having this huge route inspection problem. I heard about like grievances coming out of there because they had some weird like thing with their local. If I'm correct, that's the area. And then the second part is just by the sheer volume of that mail. That's not from just some, hey, some carriers like, listen, I gotta make this downtime, screw this, and throwing it somewhere. That's so much mail that had to be loaded up somehow. Like I'm very curious to figure out, like, who did that, because that's not just a carrier.
Yeah.
But that's just the two parts that really pop into my mind. And I will also say about how when the PMG says he's not even sure about it, when he gets called out for saying you should know, I'm the one who sent it to you. I mean, and again, you don't become the PMG, you don't become CEO of these companies by being dumb. I don't believe he didn't remember that. I just didn't think he's used to being called out like he was as a former CEO.
Absolutely.
So that was just my take on it. I do yield the rest of my time.
All right. Your turn.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you're going to play the rest of it, but in a little bit later on, they asked if are you going to take your bonus uh, until the mail is delivered or whatever. But concentrating on this, that was probably a tractor trailer and it probably wasn't there that long because everybody knows if it rains, you can't read the mail hardly a lot of the times. So that was a very recent thing that happened in my opinion, and it was ordered by someone. Like that looks like a couple tractor trailers of days of mail just put somewhere, and I don't know. I mean I'm as flabbergasted as I guess he was, and he knew about it, and with people in government and I guess private industry, I haven't really been in private industry. They always pass the buck. I didn't know it was probably this guy. Some poom is going to get their ass chewed out. It's just going to go around in circles. It's fresh in our minds now, but unfortunately, I feel like it's going to just die down and nothing's going to happen. I mean, how many times is there something that happens in the government and they're like, you did this, you should resign. And then it just goes away and life goes on and no one's held accountable and everyone involved just points fingers at each other.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All right. Yeah, I agree, man. That's some good points. Let's see. Your turn, Jamie.
Yeah, I think without speaking too much about who did it and why, because obviously right now we don't know. Um, I do think this is obviously a recurring problem, and it's something that really harms us as a service. When it feels like every couple months, a couple times a year, you see these massive loads of mail packages found, in the backwoods of someplace in a pit. And I know at least from the outside looking in, it reflects badly on us, even though we know, and not necessarily in this specific instance, but it often comes down to kind of the workplace rules, the pressure people are feeling, um, you know, denying the 96s, bringing in new people with a lot of those unrealistic expectations. And that's something that a lot of those people are going to miss. Like they just see a bunch of letters, mail, stuff they're trying to send to their loved ones. I think somebody mentioned like Medicaid. Actually, I think Holly mentioned medications. And they don't care why. They just want to know that it's not going to happen again. And I do think it's worrying when, the PMG or really anybody doesn't have answers to those questions when you're hauled in front of Congress. Whether you don't know or you do know, just the simple fact that you don't have answers, uh, it's one more of those things that I think slowly whittles away at people's trust in the postal service. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Absolutely. All right, Joni, your turn. Your first time.
Yes, so I was pretty appalled actually by Steiner's. He just really came off to me like he doesn't really know what we do at all. Like um for one thing, Josh Hawley said that these piles of mail that they've been sending things to him, sending pictures to him, and that he's getting thousands of letters a day from his constituents. And they've also been writing to Steiner, and he's just like, "Oh, it's the first I've heard of it." The whole that really sounds pretty lame. The other thing that made me think he's not really, as a leader of the post office, he's not really learning what his job is supposed to be. At one point, they asked him, "How long does it take to go from non-career to career?" And he didn't know, right? And yet he's trying to balance a budget and saying we're going to run out of money next February without knowing when this cheaper wage of a person goes to the whole compensation package of a person, which is, I don't know, $40,000 versus $100,000. And he doesn't know when that happens with his staff. That seems very silly to me. I was not, and it did make me wonder, why is the Board of Governors putting a business person in there to begin with? Can't we get somebody who's been in the post office for years and years to be the Postmaster General? That's how I felt about all that.
All right. You yield your time?
Yeah, that's
All right.
it.
I know you weren't here when we talked about the rules, so just let you know, at the 3-minute mark, I'll be playing a clip so that you understand. You got 15 seconds left.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
All right. Let's see. And your turn?
Yeah, and I want to echo what some other people were saying here about that. It's really just pass the buck. Daniel mentioned that. It's just pass the buck. And it reminds me of local management. It reminds me of district management, regional management. It's just all about the game of 3-card Monte. Who's going to be at fault for whatever's happening. And I look at that and I think perverse incentive, right? Like someone had some sort of perverse incentive to throw this mail away. And it was either to up their bonus, to not get in trouble, to who knows what it was. I mean, it could be that the person was just crazy and has like a fetish for throwing away mail, but probably it's because they're getting paid, right? Because that's usually the reason that people, break bad, as it were. So yeah, I always think of these perverse incentives, and it's really hard to have like even where our local managers are, hiding DOIS numbers or whatever. That's basically a different version of that. It's obviously not a tractor trailer thrown away of mail, but it is hiding the numbers, and which means less service for people, which means less service for our communities. So in a way, it might not be a tractor trailer thrown away, but even when people fudge the DOIS numbers in the morning, they're basically doing the same thing. And yeah, I don't know if we're going to play more of the Josh Hawley clip, but again, there's a narrative to be told here, and I don't know why National NALC is not telling it. The letter carriers are for the people, and management is not. And we need to make sure that the letter carrier craft is positioned in that way through PR, because I think we can. There's stories to be told.
Absolutely. Are you? Is it all set?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, just want to make sure I don't cut you off. Oh, sorry. But one thing I want to add before I move on. What Joni was saying made me think of something kind of funny. She said that Josh Hawley said that they were getting thousands of mail talking about undelivered mail. Well, maybe that's really the plan here. Maybe they're trying to boost their profits by making them send mail. I'm just joking. But all right, let's move on to the next
Good picture, if I could. Just
let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go into this one.
How many years does somebody have to work in the Postal Service before they can retire on full retirement pay?
I don't plan to be here that long, so I never asked that question.
I'm not. Did you not know?
I do not know.
Okay, I think it's pretty short. Do you know what it was in your business?
Pardon?
Do you know what it was in waste management?
In waste management, we didn't have a retirement plan. We had 401ks.
Okay. Well, anyway, it'd be interesting to have that information. What is the Postal Service? What is, average in private sector? Because I think one of the problems is...
I do believe, Senator, I believe, and I may misspeak, but I believe you start vesting at 5 years. I'm not sure when you fully vest.
But I'd like to know that, because that's key information in terms, and then you compare it against the private sector.
So before I start letting you guys comment, I do want to say that is probably, I posted all these clips on TikTok. That is the only one that is like super popular. Like everyone likes that laugh he did. Like they think it's very disrespectful. And it's got 80,000 views right now. So it's crazy. But I'm going to start with you.
It really pisses me off him saying, I don't think I'm going to be here that long. Right? We literally, well, I don't want to talk about any specific members of management, but imagine a hypothetical member of management who just arrived at a hypothetical station that's hypothetically in Pennsylvania, where and they literally are saying like, yeah, I'm not going to be here that long. This is a mess. I'm not going to be here. Like, postal management rhymes from the top to the bottom. And the reason they are the way they are is because they are trained to be that way, and that is it's completely the culture in management. I'm not going to be here that long. So I don't know. I flipped for podcast listeners, I did flip the double birds as soon as you said that, because like, fuck off, man. If you're not going to be here that long, leave now. Leave now. And that's also for any hypothetical management that's listening right now that doesn't want to be here. So I yield my time.
All right. And you are next?
Yeah, and actually, unless there's another clip like that, then I sort of misquoted him a second ago. Yeah, but he's still wrong. Still doesn't know how it works. But and that's to echo Mike's sentiment. That's the feeling you got, is that like he's just, I don't know, not here that long. I'm just gonna do my thing and then go, and oh, great. So this means nothing to you. We're all like, we're postal geeks. We love doing this job. This is what we do, and it's great. And we want a postmaster general that loves the post office, like a Benjamin Franklin kind of a person. And you are the opposite of that. The other thing about that, sorry, my dog is making noise. But the other thing about that is what struck me, because I watched the whole thing. I don't know how many times he talked about it being a business. Well, if this was a formal business, and in business in the past, you could just, all the non-producing areas, you would just close those, and it's a business. And this part of the business is not making money, and that part of the business is making money. So you would put all your money there. I mean, it just feels clueless. He doesn't understand this is a hybrid, and we're supposed to be neutral. We're not supposed to make a profit. And he doesn't seem to know that. And and he probably does know that, but he's driving that point home so that he can privatize the most profitable parts of the post office. That's what I think he's doing. And I'll yield the rest.
Thank you. Let's see. Next is Jamie.
Yeah, I think that laugh and some of those statements really epitomize a lot of the mindset in the private sector. That churn and burn. I think we've spoken about before. You come in, you make a bunch of cuts, you show short quarter profits, and then you walk away thinking you've succeeded in doing something. In fact, all you've done is pushed bigger problems down the line for other people to deal with. I think, what was it? Was it Brennan? I think Postmaster Brennan, who was the last postmaster that was actually from the post office. I think, if I remember correctly, I think she was a carrier too at one point. And I mean, we saw what happened when she got pulled in front of Congress, if I remember, because of a contract she signed off that Congress was like, no, go back and don't agree to this, and she did, and they got rid of her. And I think that's just an ongoing problem, like I said, between here and the private sector of not actually caring about the long-term success of companies, the civil service. It's I think one of those big things that's actually hurting, unionism as a whole, because, he talks about a 401k, and we all know 401ks, they can be great, but it's the pension. The pensions is what kept, America strong for, I think, a long time. And so I think just a lot of his attitude just really shows kind of, this is not somebody that I see leading us into, the next successful decade. As opposed to somebody who, like he even said himself, is going to be here short term, which means we're only going to get a lot of short term ideas. So I'll go ahead and yield my time. That's all. That's all I have nice to say. So.
All right, Daniel, go ahead and shoot.
Okay, so I heard this a while ago, and I never got an answer. I can't remember because I listen to so many shows. But I don't know if he's divested of FedEx or not, if he still has shares or whatever. And, that seems kind of shady. I mean, so you've got him, a former FedEx board member, then DeJoy, like, had his own trucking company. I mean, if that isn't fishy, I don't know what is. And, it's just weird where they get these guys. I mean, like one of y'all said before, Megan Brennan was the last postmaster who was, actually in the service. But you got to understand that there's a board of governors, which are totally outside the post office. They don't know anything about the post office. You look up these people, like, they make like $300,000 a year. And I did a deep dive one day, and I found out that they may work maybe 3 months a year, and they're totally outside. And the face of the board of governors is the postmaster. He's not even the chair. I think the chair's name is Amber McReynolds. So she's the chair. Who's that? I don't know who that is. So those are the people who are supposed to be running the post office. And then you've got, if I can see what I wrote, you've got the Postal Regulatory Commission. Who the heck are these guys? They're appointed by the president. Like, they're accountable to no one, and we got to do what they say. So we've got these two boards, and they have zero skin in the game. Where's the skin? Like when a president fucks up or a judge fucks up, you have a recall. You have a way to get rid of these people. I think, like, during the Biden administration, like, the whole time he was there, he wanted to get rid of DeJoy, and he couldn't. So it's like these people have no one to be accountable to. I mean, so okay, they get their ass chewed in front of Congress, but okay, so what? I mean, it's like I said before, every other government scandal, so to speak, oh my God, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. We're going to investigate. We're going to form a committee. Yeah. And then nothing happens. It just keeps going. And that's just the way it is. And it's really disappointing. And I've thought before, I was like, so how do you put skin in the game? And I've always thought that you should put someone in the board of governors or, the commission who has been in the post office. Maybe the unions can get together and they can, submit people. So that way, that person they submitted, they came from us. So, they have a little bit of skin in the game and they know how things work. These people don't know anything. No one knows these people. I just went on ChatGPT a minute ago. No one knows these people. You could ask every single person at the post office. Name two people in the board of governors, not David Steiner. No clue. If you show them,
Stop
no
it.
one would know.
Get some help.
I will get some help.
Oh, you wrapped it up?
I did. I got the Michael Jackson or Jordan.
Well, it wasn't working for a bit. I actually gave you a little bit over, but I was trying to get it to work. All right. So next is you.
Okay, so after hearing that clip, I think I'm going to have a slightly different opinion than some. I don't think his laugh was done in a disrespectful way. I think he was nervous. You have to remember the mindset of this person because he isn't government. He was a CEO who didn't have to answer to nobody. His face wasn't on cameras. He isn't used to that. Like, yeah, as government employees, we're used to like, oh yeah, nothing will happen to it. This guy doesn't know that. He's actually brought in there for the first time, and people aren't just having to laugh at a dumb joke he makes because he's the CEO. He just got dressed up and down in front of Congress, and he's probably not used to that. But now he's realizes he's been in there, I don't know how long now, I'd have to see, but he realizes he's not the boss. He's not like a CEO. He does have postal commissions. He has the unions, the Congress. He has all these different people. And no matter what he does, someone's going to tell him he's wrong. And he doesn't know how to navigate these waters. When he doesn't know retirement, he clearly doesn't know what he's doing here. And then, I mean, I will still point to, and if anyone here knows someone else that said it, please let me know. But I can't remember of a PMG that has come in front of Congress and said, pick a road for the post office and stick to it. Because he has said he brought up before, he says we have this mandate. He cited a previous year when the we used to get like money from government for actually keeping up that mandate, and he wants to increase that. At the end of the day, I'm sure, if he got to have a choice between privatizing or whatnot, I think after he just got beat up for, however many hours, he just like, listen, just give me a road to go down and I'll stick to it. Because if you have someone who's in that mentality and he has to sit there and take it, that's why he laughed with Josh Hawley's comment. That was nervousness. But he said one thing that does kind of make me nervous, not just about him, but when he says, oh, I don't plan on being here that long. I hate to say it, we're not just seeing that from the PMG. That reflects even some of the carriers that come in here, or some of the other craft employees, or even members of management. Like we always hear about how it used to be a big deal, be part of the post office. Some people look at it as a starter job now. He's clearly looking at it as a part, like, oh, okay, I'll stick in here for, how another term or something. He's not planning on it long term. I do think he is laying down the groundwork for whoever his replacement is saying, okay, make your decision, Congress. What are we doing? Are we being privatized? Are we following the mandate? And you're uncompensated for it. Because I mean, we've heard the prior PMGs saying, "Hey, we have these mandates. What are we doing here?" Now, obviously, I think we're going to have a fight on our hands, but we need to be prepared for that.
Absolutely.
But no, that was I yield the rest of my time for that.
I think the quiet part is that he's also hoping we're not here long enough to retire because he wants that temporary workforce. Let's see. And Amy, you're up next.
I feel exactly the way Daniel does. I swear that man was reading my mind. I can't remember which senator brought it up to Steiner about business class. I know today I had 3 full coverage. So I had about 4,500 pieces. Someone brought it up and he said, oh, we can only do that once a year. We can only change it. Well, let's investigate. Let's look into that. If he's really interested in the business part of it, which I agree, he has no idea what's going on with the post office. That's very obvious. But there are avenues that we're just like, well, and I think that's a good one. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Just so it doesn't go all night, because I know everyone's got an exciting day again tomorrow, just like they did today in the heat. I'm going to do one last speed round, and then we'll wrap it up. Instead of doing one and going all the way through, We got 6 guests here, so we're going to do 2 last videos. And the first 3 will comment on the first one, and then I'll play another one, and we'll wrap it up at that. Let's see. This is the this is the clip I'm going to play for the first 3.
Inflation in your cost base, and then price and volume can drop straight to the bottom line. You become profitable.
So currently, I just want to be clear, there is a hiring freeze at the post office.
There is.
Raising the price from 78 cents to 95 generates about 1.6 billion. Hiring freeze about 1.8 billion in the first year, goes up over time. 3 billion for each day reduced. I think the hiring freeze could have come earlier, but at least you will start saving some from 40 days ago. There are some people reporting that this really isn't a full hiring freeze. So I would like details on exactly what a hiring freeze means to you to make sure it means the same thing to us. I think that when you and I had talked, and when we had talked with your staff coming into this, what we really wanted was you to prepare for us. This is where we spend our money. This is where we could reduce.
All right, so did you guys know we're in a hiring freeze 40 days ago? You can go first.
No, that was news to me, all of that. That's
Any
all I have to
comments?
say. That was
Okay.
no, I'm not sure Rand Paul was helping much with our fight, but no, that's all.
Absolutely. All right, your turn.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's no hiring freeze. We're still seeing people, either get hired with the post office or even on our scanner messages when they're saying, hey, come to the latest career conference, blah, 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 blah. So obviously, there's no hiring freeze. I will say, I believe what he's referring to is the email he sent out saying, hey, quit all your essential spending, as they still continued these career conferences. But that really didn't stop anything from your day-to-day actions. Management still spends money however they did.
Do you think he was being misleading, or do you think that it was more mistranslation from a CEO perspective to a postmaster general from the fact that he's not used to being,
I definitely think that he does not realize how tactical he has to be. I mean, we use our own postal terminology with everything. And that's why if you watched it, like when it was happening online, you saw the staffer run up to Rand Paul multiple times, writing it down. That's why he was looking at his notes and he said, oh, it's being reported to me that this isn't the case. But I don't know if it was intentional or, again, he thought he said something, but he just got caught. Like, he's not used to being questioned like that.
Okay. All right. And now Daniel.
Okay, so I heard the whole Rand Paul, and you didn't play it all, but I heard the Rand Paul thing today when I was listening to the other shows. And I think we should do what Rand Paul does. So in all of rural Kentucky, you only get your mail 2 days a week, and we'll call it the Rand Paul tax if you want it. So if you pay 30, 40, 50 bucks more, you can get your mail more than 4 times a day. I think we should start in Kentucky and see how that goes for constituents. Like, I don't understand. He says business, 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 and then I think he says service once. So I just wrote it down a little while ago. I want a voice vote on the floor of the Congress and the Senate. Is the post office a service? Yay, nay. So it's set in stone. It is. It's not, oh, well, in this instance, it's a business. In this instance, it's a service. It's a service because it loses money. Like a lot of things lose money. I looked this up a while ago, and people don't understand that the national parks, they make $350 million a year from park entrance and the extra stuff and all that. and the government gives them $4 billion. I guess the national parks are going out of business. We need to privatize the national parks. No, it's a service. We're a service. We're outside of the whole government shutdown thing because we are that essential. I guarantee you, if we were in the government and we were quote unquote supposed to be shut down, if the government shut down, we'd still be delivering mail. We had a freaking pandemic. We still delivered mail. I've delivered mail in tornadoes. I've seen trees fall on houses, and I get scanner matches. Keep it going. Hurry up. Oh, if you see a street blocked off, just go around. So, yeah, people don't understand how essential we are until they don't have us anymore. How many people come up to you, I didn't get my mail, I didn't get this, but yet no one cares. Sure, cut it down to 4 days, cut it down to this and that. No, they want their shit. And when they don't get it, that's when they raise hell. That was pretty short.
That was perfect timing. You only had 24 seconds. All right. Let's see. Okay, we're going to play the next clip because we're doing the speed round. Sorry, we're just going to make sure we get through all of
So I
it
can do it on my own.
get through all of it and still have enough time to go to bed tonight. Sorry about we're going to play this one here.
We'll see if we can do that through the pilots, but you would think that it would make sense that we could do it more efficiently and cheaper because we're already going
Look,
to every house
I'm
every
all
day.
for efficiency and for saving money, but again, this is a function of our government that's laid out in the Constitution. And I'll be honest with you, it concerns me that you were not aware of a pilot program that tried to do exactly this in the first Trump administration because, look, I'm just going through the census government report right now, and there's a recommendation section here, and it says all pilot activities were discontinued based on the irreconcilable conflicts of the requirements of 13 USC and 18 and 39 USC. So I guess I just want to ask you.
You can tell me what those are because I don't know what. We'll see if we can do that.
So that was it's not an entirely perfect clip because it doesn't say what it's referencing. It's referencing the carriers doing the consensus, and it talks about a prior pilot program was stopped because it was in conflict with the law, and essentially he goes on to say what has changed since then to make it not in conflict. You first.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to as far as those specific laws because, like, I don't know. I mean, how the census would work with us. I mean, I imagine it would be rough. I'm not opposed to doing anything that might bring us money, get more work to bring more people in. I do think it's going to be hard to do some of that when you still have the existing problems with first class mail, meeting all those like little delivery quotas they have. Um, you know, I think that's not the only thing we can do. I mean, you look around the world and you can see, like I think what was it France they do because we go every door. And we have a huge aging population. I know in France, one of the things you can do is you can actually pay carriers to do welfare checks on people, to check in with people's grandmas. Even health services have people check in just to make sure somebody's still alive, see if they're doing well, even have them sign stuff. You know, so like I said, I'm for us trying all kinds of different things, especially if it's going to require the government to actually put money into us instead of, just mandating us to do something and then kind of hog tying us as we attempt to do it. And then to turn around and say, this is why this doesn't work. We should privatize it. Especially with what you were talking about earlier with Rand Paul. You can't cut your way to success. That's just not a reality. You cut back, that's going to cost us money. I mean, overtime alone, if we went to 3 days, that just means every single day we're working an insane amount of overtime. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I answered too much on that because, like I said, I don't super know some of the laws behind if we can do something and if we can't. I just know they give me something to do, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I know most people around me are going to do whatever they can to see the post office succeed. So I'll yield the rest of my time.
All right. Let's see. All right, your turn.
Yeah, so this one was interesting to me because the job I had right before I became a mail carrier was I was a supervisor for the 2020 U.S. Census. And so when I heard about the pilot a couple of years ago, or a year ago maybe, I thought, it's a perfect fit actually. I thought this would be great, except I'm sure there are legal problems with it because for the same reason that we're not ICE, right? If ICE asks us to identify a customer, we get to say F off, no, I'm not doing that. These are my customers, and I just deliver their mail, and I make sure that I keep their personal information private. That's my job. And of course, the census is to collect their personal information. So it's a immediate clash. So I didn't know legally if that would even be possible. And that question in Congress answered it. So somebody litigated it and said, no, this isn't going to work because of that. I still think that should be a conversation and maybe something to entertain as a way to I don't know. I think we're the ones that know the communities the best, versus I had never done a census before. I went in there and I'm like, how many people live here? And but as a mail carrier, I know how many people live there. I know their names, I know their ages, so anyway, I think it shouldn't be dead. I actually think it should be a conversation if it could be made safe for the public and protecting their information. I think it's not a bad idea. But the problem that I had was that, again, Steiner didn't know what he was talking about, what they were talking about. He didn't know about the pilot program. Well, wait, we're doing what? Dude, like, I get that you've only been doing this for 6 months or whatever it is, but this this is your job. And so that I didn't like that. But then also I think that it's a viewpoint, a mindset thing for us as mail carriers to expand ourselves into the community, make us more integral, give us more jobs, report more dead animals, keep track of the Amber Alerts, all the kinds of things, have postal banking, have whatever. I think all of that is we already are trusted. We already had a background check. We already like our jobs and our customers, and people respect us. It should
Stop it.
bigger. It should be bigger. There.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It was good to hear from you. Let's see. Next, and not least, is Michael.
Yeah, what Joni said was just wonderful, and kind of everything I could think of, and way beyond that. Make us bigger, right? Like what we have is, it's not even a footprint. It is literally veins and arteries of services, right? We are the services that tie this country together. We are the blood that goes to every single house, right? They talk about like automation or whatever. Like at some point, I don't think the American people want like a robot walking up to their house. They want another human being walking up to their house, right? That human being who knows them, who you have long relationships with, who you see kids grow up and people grow old. So the more that we can take that, very unique, because there's nothing else like that. And we couldn't do something like the census, or we couldn't do something like postal banking or whatever. We were talking about welfare checks. Jamie mentioned that. We wouldn't be able to do that if we moved to some of these ideas of, in our new contract, Renfro was talking about how there might be AI generated routes that change dynamically, right? That's that's death to what we stand for. That's death to what the service part of the Postal Service is. The more that they take us as letter carriers, which are integral parts of the community, and take us away and make us more ephemeral and make us less permanent and make our routes more transient, the more that it takes away our ability to do these other things, to do the thing that already is important, which is, connecting people. I always think it's funny around like political season, the amount of money that is spent on political ads, because people know that like we're delivering things to people. I mean, that's basically what we do. It is literally what we do, right? We put something in people's hands, and that is meaningful. So, just to kind of go out on this idea of like, we need to fight against, in this next upcoming contract, any sort of AI concessions. We need to fight against any sort of dynamic routes. We need to make sure that we are permanent. We are a permanent fixture in our communities. Our routes are permanent, because we can't build anything unless we have that permanence. So I'll yield from there.
Yeah, I definitely second that, and so do the people of Reddit, because I once used AI to create an image, and holy moly, I got about 2,000 comments about it, calling me clanker. So, yeah, that is an interesting situation. I hope that they do the same to Steiner, and Renfro with this whole AI route generation, because management can't do it. Damn well robot can't do it. But let's see. I'm going to end it on one more. But the way it's going to work is we're going to go back up the list, but you can comment on the video. You'll have it a couple extra minutes. We'll give you 5 minutes to be able to not only comment on whatever video I play, but wrap it up with either, an exit, whatever you want to say on the way out, and give any shout outs to anyone you want. So feel free to say whatever you want, wrapping it up. All right. So, let's see. I think I'll end it on a good note. I'm not 100% certain, so don't kill me for this, that this is from this testimony. This could be from the last one, but I think I'm going to end it on a good note. Let's see. All right.
And I want to take the time to recognize the incredible work of the postal workforce that the chairman alluded to earlier. They continue to do for the American people a great service, and they do it in a way that they don't complain. We all remember what happened in the last election season when they were faced with the insurmountable task, as some thought at the time, to be able to sort the mail, deliver the mail, and guarantee the mail. And yet they did that. And only weeks after that, ran into an avalanche of different challenges posed by the overwhelming load of holiday mail, and they did that back to back. And I want to take the time.
All right. So first you can go.
Hell yeah. We did that, right? We all did that. Everyone here, everyone's listening. I imagine everyone's listening. I don't know. Do people, non-letter carriers, listen to letter carrier podcasts? I've never even thought about it. I guess their significant others might have to sometimes, whether or not by choice or not, right? So anyway, I'm gonna give a shout out to everyone in 274 who was in the heat, and a big shout out to everyone that is going through heat this summer. Like, it was hot today. It was so hot today. Today was like climbing a mountain. So every time you get done that route, or every time you aren't able to get done that route because you didn't get the coverage that you deserve, give yourself a pat on the back. So yeah. So I was saying, I'll feel my time.
It was good to have you on.
Yeah.
All right. Next is you.
Yeah, well, yeah, very positive quote. And we are very cool. And I think we forget about it because we're working so hard to right the wrongs, and we kind of forget how much people love us and how great it is, and all of that. And I feel for y'all back east. I'm in California. It's supposed to be hot, but it was 74 today. So sorry. Sorry you're dealing with that. Of course, it'll be 100 in 2 weeks or something like that. So, but yeah, everybody stay safe, stay cool, take your cooling breaks, no matter what they say.
All right. It was good having you on. Jamie, you're up.
Yeah, of course, I'm going to give a shout out to everybody in 2819 who's listening, and the wider Region 13 as well. I'm glad to hear that people, obviously think we do a great job. I would argue with the fact that we don't complain. I don't think there's any of us here who work with coworkers who never say a bad word about anything. But I do think it's good that that's probably true for most of our residents, that they aren't aware of sometimes I think the difficulties we face because we get out there, we put a good face on, we ask them how their day's going, stuff like that. So I think it's good that we maintain that spirit when we're out and about because, I tell that to my carriers a lot, like, especially the younger ones coming up who I think sometimes have that more, I don't know I'm forgetting what the word is, where, they not used to interacting with people on a daily basis and how important it is to our jobs. Because, we have a lot of politicians who I think are on our side, and that's partially just because the population is on our side. And if those numbers ever fall, I think we're going to see a lot more politicians come out because, I mean, we're a gold mine. Whether it's the properties we have, the reach we have, it's important that we do everything we can to stay a public service. You only have to look at England to see what happens when you turn to privatization. And I don't think you're going to find a bunch of English men and women who are going to talk about how great their host is nowadays. Because I think a lot of our people talk very well about us, and that's not the case, I think, in a lot of places around the country. So I just want to tell everybody to keep walking those miles and keep those smiles on your face. So you guys have a great time. It was good talking to you. I'll use the rest of my time.
Good having you on again. You're the You're the only one that has returned this time, aren't you?
Yeah, apparently I don't have enough to do, so I thought I'd get on here and then, talk and learn some stuff, get to meet some new people. So, I'm glad you had me on.
Yeah, we miss you guys, the ones that didn't come back, but we'll see you next time. All right. Next is you.
Yeah, so I've kind of forgotten what the subject was, but I just wanted to say that, the post office, it's an easy job and they make it hard, but I mean, that's government for you. But like, I like to have fun at my work. Like my postmaster recently, she hasn't been here for the past 2 days. She likes to put these post-it notes on our cases to tell us when we're supposed to leave. And she wasn't there today, and I thought I'd be funny, and I made a bunch of post-it notes and I put it on everyone's case, and it said "Do your best," and they really got a kick out of it, and they laughed. And I just do silly, goofy stuff like that, and I just try to keep it lively. I'm always being snarky to management, and putting them into place like, oh, well, according to the M41, we're supposed to do this, or Elm this or whatever. And listening to all these podcasts and stuff and getting all this education from people like you, Josh, I can, it increases the snarkiness, which I love, and anything to get a dopamine hit. But we are important to the community. I get people talking to me all the time about stuff. I have a lot of good relationships with the people on my route, but you don't know what you have until you're gone. Like, they don't understand that, like, for us, we think there's all kinds of drama going on and everything, but like most Americans, we're invisible. We're invisible because we do our job for the most part, and we get it done, and we make sure that things are done right. Like, it's very hard. I've been in the post office for 20 years or 21 years, and it's very hard to maintain that discipline of giving your customers a service that goes above and beyond, even though they don't want you to. You don't really have to, but you do it because you love it. Because like when I was growing up, I would wait at the mailbox for the mail lady. I had a really good relationship with the mail lady, and I remember one time on my birthday, I got $1 from my mail carrier, and yeah, it just always stuck in my head, and I just thought it was so cool. And so, after high school, I joined the Navy, and after the Navy, I started asking, what should I do? What should I do? And like, oh, the post office is great. So, I joined the post office, and I got into it. I have a collection of postal stuff. I have an old postal hat. I have an old poster jacket. I collect, memorabilia. I just think it's so cool. I've been up to DC to see the museum, and like I just think it's so cool. An institution that's been around this long and has so much history. And I was donated a stamp collection not too long ago, and it's just cool to see how history is with stamps and stuff and all that cool stuff. But it's a really good job, but they just make it so hard, and it wears on you a lot. It's I think that's what the biggest problem is. And that's it. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, thank you, man. It was good having you on. I know you just missed the last one. I think you don't normally tune in to the channels to be able to get that invite, but I'll make sure you get one every time now. Let's see. Next, you, Mr. Harrison.
All right. First, I would say about that video, it is, of course, it's nice to get recognized for our hard work. I mean, it's a rare thing nowadays to be told, hey, you're doing a good job. So every time we can get that, it's important. And, next I was going to say, hey, shout out to the Carriers in Niagara Falls and, of course, Western New York itself, go Bills. But after hearing about that, being out in the sun, now I'm wondering, is this the lighting or if I am actually sunburned today? So that's going to feel great in the morning. But one thing I really did want to touch on is it's important that how you have us on here. It's important how the rest of the podcast, they do these Zooms. I know I've said before, I keep hearing this 49.8% of carriers of less than 5 years in. It was great hearing Daniel talk about, his time in the post office, 20 years, and how much he loves it. Because now you're considered weird if you like the post office within the post office. Like, and I know I get kind of made fun of for that because they're like, yeah, you really enjoy this too much. I'm like, well, yeah, it's important, it's important. It's an important thing that we do. And people don't see that like we used to. And I really hope that everyone keeps this up. I hope you keep these Zooms. I hope everyone else keeps this because when I hear that 49.8% of carriers of less than 5 years in, we're going to be start from scratch on a lot of this. And these podcasts help. They help whether it's on the contract side. They help whether it's on the organization side. It helps if it's about the grievance process itself. These are all just different aspects because the Postal Service is its own world. It really is. And we're going to need like all hands on deck this upcoming several years. We're going to be in a very, very like crucial time. And so anytime that all of us can get together, share ideas, hear different parts of what's going on in the country, I'm all about it. And I want to give, hey, thank you for having me on here, and thanks to the rest of y'all for being on here with us. I think this is what really encourages others to also join and just share their story. And be safe out there tomorrow. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hey, it was good having you on. And just so everybody knows, I don't remember if I said it on record yet, but I did say it at least once before the show started. Andrew is a guest today. He's an honorary Wrecking Ball for his service as an arbitration advocate. He kicks some ass, so he forgot to mention that, but hopefully he didn't mind that I disclosed that. But next, we got another really cool person. Amy, would you like to wrap us up?
Yeah, this is the part I was waiting for because I'm not political at all. Once I heard the topic, I already agreed to do it. And I just was like, I'm not going to have a whole lot to add. I'm really not political. But we really do need to look after each other because nobody understands what we go through like another person. And the little things we can do for the new people, I've been in 25 years. The little things you can do, whether it's a Pop Tart or a popsicle this time of year or something like that, just something for these new CCAs that are trying to get their feet on the ground. I remember how hard it was, and it really helps to just take 5 minutes, make sure they're okay. Ask them if they need anything. Is there a part you're having trouble with? What can I do? Look at how I set up my truck. Just that's the most important part is we stay together. And
Okay.
that's all I have. Thank you.
That was some wonderful words. And, I really enjoyed today. I think today was fun. And hopefully we can get together again next month for the next Wrecking Crew. Hopefully you guys learned something valuable today. And as always, have a good day.